Well, today we're going to do something pretty cool with the Corvette. We've got everything kind of dialed in where it needs to be. I did a oil change on it, new plugs, just checked over everything to make sure that this was tip-top running condition. We put new injectors in, as you saw. And as far as performance stuff, there's nothing done to it. It's completely dead stock. So before we do anything to it, as you guys know, the best thing you can do is get a baseline to figure out where you stand. And then you add your mods and you can see how much you gain, whether it's quarter mile, 60 to 130, dyno, whatever you want to do. There's always a value in baselining to make sure that you're able to gather gains and show them. So what we're going to do today is something kind of different. This is my first time really hunkering down with this system, and I'm really excited for it because I've used it on a couple of cars before, and I've compared it with my dyno, that the Mustang dyno. As you guys know, I've been on a bunch of different dynos: Mustang, Mainline, Dynojet, Dynapack, and a few other ones as well. But one thing I have not done yet is used a GPS dyno. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. So we have devices like the Draggy and the V-Box. So see, we got our Draggy over here. Put that there. So these devices basically just mount in the car, and they put out, or they sample, I should say, the speed increases and the speeds and the G-forces and everything else. So you end up with some pretty accurate timing data. And as time has gone by, these devices have become extremely accurate. We're talking 20 hertz, 20 times per second sampling. That's a very quick, if you think about how quickly 20 times in 1 second happens, it's a fairly accurate way of sampling. So when you've got a good signal, good GPS signal on these are infallible. You can check quarter mile times against Draggy, and they are dead on. 60 to 130, this is how you do it. Same thing with the V-Box. I argue that the V-Box is actually a better unit. Price-wise, you can't even argue that at all, because Draggies are like $150 and these are like $700. So I've had both of these for quite some time now, and I've used them both, and I love getting performance data out of them. I think it's the best. It is, in my opinion, the industry standard now, using these devices, because they are used by so many people. You have way more congruent results. They validate themselves to make sure that you're not on a hill. They, can gather a lot of geographical data as well while you're doing it. If you want to, check or chart your path on a track and stuff like that, you use these devices. They're great. So one thing I've never used them to do until recently is dyno, believe it or not. So you can actually get horsepower and torque numbers out of these really accurate. I mean really accurate, because I've tested them against my dyno, I've tested them against other people's dynos, and we have created basically what I would consider the most accurate numbers with these GPS, believe it or not. You don't get any any loss to the real world with these. You're one of the most arguable things about being on dyno is aerodynamic forces, as well as the airflow itself going around the car and in the car, cooling wise, to make the most power, to simulate the most realistic power on a dyno. You can't do that really. You don't get the aerodynamic forces, you don't get those parasitics, and it's hard for them to take that into consideration. So if you have aerodynamic data on a vehicle, which is all out there now, you can Google it on almost any car, and you plug that into these programs for these online, or I should say on your phone dynos or GPS dynos, you've got a serious contender for an accurate dyno. So today we're going to use the VBox Sport, and we're going to, by the way, I wanted to make a disclaimer. This is not a paid advertisement, so it's just my findings, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. I've been using a program called Perf Expert that is really good with this. It is not cheap. Obviously, you need a $700 V-Box, and the program itself is like another $100 for the year. So you're spending money. But if you're doing this as much as I'm doing it, you need something handy like this. And this is great. You go out on the road, you take it to the track, and you get all the data in one shot. Going down the back straight, one single gear, and going around the track, you can get all the data you need. So we're going to go ahead and load up the software. I'm going to show you a run in the Corvette. We're gonna baseline the Corvette and get a number out of it, because we're going to do some stuff to it. And I'm going to use this dyno method a lot more to do this stuff because it is so convenient and so accurate. So let's go ahead, make a run, and see what we got. All right, we're out here. We're going to try to get this dyno. Got our satellites locked in. Let's try it. So there you go. There's a good example of how to do a dyno pull on the street with this Perf Expert program, and the results just speak for themselves. This is really good stuff. As you can see, very accurate. These numbers jive with the dyno perfectly. They give you a horsepower, like a flywheel horsepower number and a wheel horsepower. I like to use the flywheel horsepower number because it matches up with people's expectations a little better, and it also does represent what the manufacturers are trying to put out there, because there are things that can affect that. So if you do everything and put all of the correct weights and the correct drag coefficient, gear ratios and everything, which most of them are preloaded anyway with most popular cars, but if you have a weirdo car, you got to know that stuff. Either way, put that stuff in there, and this really works. So unless you're dynoing some kind of crazy impossible setup, which most of us are not, and you've got a regular street car, this is really the new way to do it. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. I'm gonna do some more. We're obviously gonna dyno quite a bit more with this. I'm really into it. Again, this is not a sponsored ad. I did this on my own just because I love this setup, and I think that sharing stuff like this with the community is very important. This is simple. Look at it, I'm holding it in my hand. You don't have to have a $100,000 dyno to get really good, accurate numbers, dyno sheets, and all the data you need. You can do it right here, just like that, just like me. So stay tuned, we're gonna do some more. The numbers are pretty cool. As you can see, we're peaking right around 400 horsepower with the stock ZR1, which is about right. When I say stock, I'm lying. It has a chip. It has a chip. That's why it's got a little extra power. So these are rated at 375, 380 at the flywheel from the factory. They do have some variances. Some of them are a little higher, some of them are a little lower, because these are hand built by Mercury Marine, these motors. And some of them are Wednesday cars and some of them are Monday cars, if you know what I mean. Either way, this one jives with the manufacturer ratings. 375 to the crank stock plus the chip gives us another 20, 25 horsepower somewhere in there. It works. So we're gonna do some more to this. I would like to do a full exhaust. I'm thinking a Corsa exhaust on this would really set it off. Full exhaust. We're gonna get rid of the restrictions and see if we can bring it up a notch. And there's a lot more you can do to these. So stay tuned. I'm excited about this car. I like where it's headed, and I like what it represents. The retro, this is the original King of the Hill monster, and I'm just excited for it, and hopefully you guys are too. Either way, keep it locked in. Stay tuned. We'll see you in the next one. Let me know in the comments if you've got this Perf Expert, and if you're using it. Make sure. I know that you can use it with just the phone's stuff. I would not do that. I don't think that you're going to get a very accurate number out of that. I will say that. It does vary quite a bit if you don't use a very accurate GPS like the V-Box or the Race Box or some of the other ones too. I don't think they have support yet for Draggy. That would be cool. If you guys at Perf Expert are listening, add Draggy. That'd be sweet. Either way, the V-Box works great. And we'll see you guys in the next one.